The rain lashed against the lawyer's office windows as Olivia Carter stared at the divorce papers before her, every line carved into her heart like a blade, cutting away the dream she once held with Julian Pierce, the man who now sat across from her like a stranger in a tailored suit. 5 years of love, laughter, and promises had come to this cold, wordless moment. Olivia's trembling hand lifted the pen. The tick of the grandfather clock filled the silence as she signed her name, each letter a farewell. Julian added his signature beside hers, sealing the end of everything. He stood without a word. Olivia wanted to scream, to beg him to fight for them, but pride held her still. The door closed behind him with a soft click that sounded like thunder in her chest. She gathered her things, ignoring the receptionist's pitying glance, and rushed to the restroom. Inside, she pulled out a small tissue-wrapped object from her purse, a pregnancy test. 2 pink lines stared back at her, 2 lines that came too late. Her breath caught as she pressed a trembling hand to her stomach. They had tried for years, fertility treatments, adoption forms, prayers, and now, when everything was ending, life had finally begun inside her, but she couldn't tell him, not after seeing how cold and distant he had become. She tore the test into pieces, watching them fall into the trash. This child would be hers alone. That night, Olivia packed her life into boxes. Each item carried a memory: wedding photos, laughter under string lights, rain-soaked kisses. She left their album on the counter. Some things were too heavy to carry. In the months that followed, Olivia moved across town into a small house. She worked freelance as a designer and leaned on her best friend Rebecca Torres, who stood by her through every craving, every appointment, every doubt. When her daughter Emma was born, tiny, perfect, with Julian's green eyes, Olivia knew she had made the right choice. Emma would never grow up watching 2 people destroy each other. 6 years passed. Olivia's modest life bloomed with quiet joy. She worked from home, tended her garden, and filled her days with Emma's laughter. Her daughter's curiosity was endless, her imagination wild. Whenever she asked about her father, Olivia gave soft lies. He lives far away. Maybe one day you'll meet him. Across the city, Julian Pierce had become a titan of real estate. His face filled magazines. His empire stretched across skylines. Yet every success fell hollow. His penthouse, filled with art and glass, felt empty. At night, he wondered if Olivia was happy, if she ever thought of him. Then fate intervened. One Tuesday, Julian's driver took a wrong turn near an elementary school. As children spilled out laughing, he looked up from his papers and froze. There was Olivia, holding the hand of a little girl with dark curls and green eyes. His green eyes. He watched her buckle the girl into a car, kiss her forehead, and drive away. Julian couldn't move. That simple, tender moment shattered him. He followed them quietly to a small blue house with flowers in the windows. That night he couldn't sleep. He hired a private investigator, telling himself he only wanted to know if Olivia was okay. The report came swiftly. Olivia Carter, 28, lives with daughter Emma, age 5. Julian did the math. Emma had been born 8 months after the divorce. The realization struck like a physical blow. He had a daughter, a child he'd never known. Years of birthdays, first steps, first words, gone. Anger, grief, and longing flooded him all at once. But beneath it all was something stronger, the need to know his child. The next morning, Julian drove to that blue house. Olivia was making breakfast when the doorbell rang. She opened the door and time froze. Julian stood there, older, weary, but still the man she once loved. "Olivia," he said, voice low, eyes raw. Her breath trembled. "What are you doing here?" "I think you know." His gaze locked on hers. "I saw you and your daughter." Her heart plummeted. "You need to leave," she whispered, trying to shut the door. Julian's hand pressed gently against it. "She's mine, isn't she?" Silence. Then Olivia's tears welled, unfallen but undeniable. From the kitchen came a small voice. "Mommy, who's at the door?" Julian froze. Olivia's pleading eyes begged him not to do this now. He nodded slowly. "Tonight," he said softly, "after she's asleep, we talk." She shut the door, trembling. That evening, after tucking Emma in, Olivia sat in the quiet living room waiting. Julian arrived right on time. They faced each other like strangers, haunted by memory. "Tell me everything," he said, voice shaking with restraint. And she did. She told him about the test, the decision made in grief, the years of loneliness and love. When she finished, Julian's composure cracked. "You had no right," he said hoarsely. "You stole 5 years of my daughter's life. You walked away from me." Olivia snapped. "You chose your business over your marriage. Every late night, every canceled plan, what was left for me? I was building a future for us. I never dreamed of an empty house," she cried. "I wanted a husband, not a ghost." The words hung heavy in the air. Julian sank onto the couch, defeated. "I failed you," he admitted softly. "But that doesn't mean I deserve to lose her." "I know," Olivia whispered. "I was wrong, too. I was hurt, scared. But Emma's happy, Julian. She's loved. She's growing up without a father," he said bitterly. "What have you told her? That you live far away?" "Well, someday is now," he said firmly. "I want to know my daughter." In the weeks that followed, they set boundaries. Julian would visit on weekends, slowly easing into Emma's life. Olivia prepared her carefully, explaining that her father was coming, that he loved her even though he'd been gone. Emma's excitement melted every fear. She drew pictures, practiced what to say, asked endless questions. On the day they met, she wore her favorite dress and waited by the window. When Julian arrived, he knelt before her. "Hi, Emma," he said, voice trembling. "Hi, Daddy," she replied softly, then threw her arms around his neck. Julian broke, holding his daughter for the first time, tears streaming freely. Olivia turned over the following months. Julian became a constant presence. He didn't just visit. He showed up. Every weekend he helped Emma with her drawings, fixed her bike, read her bedtime stories, and learned her favorite snack recipes from Olivia. At first, Olivia watched from a distance, unsure if this version of Julian was real or temporary. But the more she saw him laugh with Emma, the more her walls began to crack. He wasn't the same man she'd divorced. One evening after Emma fell asleep, Julian lingered on the porch. The summer air was thick with quiet nostalgia. "She's perfect," he murmured. "You did everything right, Olivia." Olivia folded her arms, looking at him warily. "Don't make this harder than it already is." "I'm not trying to," he said softly. "I just want you to know I see you now. All those years I thought success was everything. But what's the point of it without family?" Her breath caught. "You can't fix 6 years of silence with a few visits, Julian." "I'm not trying to fix the past," he said. "I'm trying to build something new." The sincerity in his voice disarmed her. For the first time in years, she didn't see the CEO. She saw the man she once loved. As months turned into a year, their uneasy peace evolved into something fragile but real. Julian respected boundaries. Olivia began to trust again, and Emma flourished between them. They started spending weekend together. Fairs, beach trips, pancakes on Sundays. One day, Emma brought home a drawing. 3 stick figures holding hands under a bright sun. "That's me, Mommy, and Daddy," she said proudly. Olivia and Julian exchanged a glance that said more than words ever could. But healing was never a straight line. At a charity gala for one of Julian's companies, whispers followed them. Reporters wanted headlines. Julian Pierce's ex-wife and secret child appear together. Olivia felt exposed, out of place among glittering socialites. During a quiet moment, Julian found her near the balcony. "You okay?" She tried to smile. "I shouldn't be here. This is your world, Julian, not mine." He took her hand. "It's our world, if you want to be." "Don't," she whispered. "Don't make promises you can't keep." "I kept the wrong ones before," he said, eyes fierce. "This time, I mean it." The orchestra swelled inside. The city lights shimmered below. And for the first time, she didn't pull away. From then on, the press called them the reborn family. But behind the headlines were 2 people learning to forgive themselves. Julian started working fewer hours, often showing up at Emma's school recitals, science fairs, and parent meetings. Olivia saw how deeply he tried, not to impress, but to be present. One rainy afternoon, while waiting for Emma to come home from school, Julian stopped by unexpectedly. He carried coffee, soaked to the bone. "I miss this," he said, looking around the cozy kitchen. "The smell of cinnamon, the sound of rain, you humming while cooking." Olivia laughed softly. "I don't hum." "Yes, you do," he smiled. "You always did when you were nervous." She froze, realizing he remembered. The air thickened between them, a mix of memory and something new. "Julian," she said gently, "we can't just go back." "I don't want to go back," he replied. "I want to move forward. With you. With her." Before she could answer, Emma burst through the door, squealing, "Daddy, come see what I drew." And just like that, the moment dissolved into laughter and warmth. But Olivia's heart was no longer certain. It wanted distance. Weeks later, Emma's school held a family talent night. Parents were invited to perform with their kids. Emma wanted to sing "You Are My Sunshine" with both her parents. Olivia hesitated, but Julian insisted. That night, as the three of them stood under soft stage lights, their voices blended awkwardly at first, then beautifully. Emma's laughter carried through the gym, and by the final note, even Olivia was smiling through tears. The crowd applauded, unaware that something profound had shifted between the parents. Afterward, in the parking lot, Julian turned to her. "You don't have to answer tonight," he said quietly, "but I need to ask, is there still a place for me? Not just as Emma's father, but as yours too." Olivia looked at him, then at their daughter chasing fireflies. Her heart whispered yes, but her fear held back the word. "I don't know," she said honestly. "That's enough," he replied. "It's more than I deserve." In the months that followed, their friendship deepened into something unspoken yet undeniable. They spent holidays together, birthdays, even quiet Sunday dinners. Emma began calling their house home, not Mom's house. Then one snowy December evening, Julian invited them to his company's winter charity event. Olivia wore a simple silver gown. Emma twirled in matching ribbons. Midway through the night, Julian took the stage. He spoke about redemption, family, and second chances. Then he looked directly at Olivia in the crowd. "I once built towers that reached the clouds," he said, voice steady. "But nothing I built mattered more than the two people who taught me what love truly means." Before she could process it, he stepped off the stage, walked straight to her, and knelt, not with a ring, but with Emma's small hand in his. "Mommy," Emma grinned, "Daddy says he wants to marry you again." The crowd gasped, cameras flashed, but all Olivia saw was Julian's tearful smile. "I don't want perfection," he said softly. "I just want us. Will you give me that?" Tears blurred her vision. This time, she didn't hesitate. "Yes," she whispered, "but on one condition, no more skyscrapers between us." He laughed, pulling her close. "Deal." They kissed as the snow fell, and Emma squealed, "EW, gross," making the room burst into laughter. Months later, they remarried in a quiet garden ceremony, surrounded by close friends. No press, no spotlight, just the three of them, hand in hand. Olivia carried Emma's bouquet of daisies, while Julian whispered vows simple and true. "For every moment I lost, I'll make it right. For every silence, I'll fill it with love. For every wall, I'll build a home." As they sealed it with a kiss, Emma tossed petals and shouted, "Happily ever after." And for once, it wasn't just a storybook ending. It was real, imperfect, and entirely theirs. The rain that once marked their ending now blessed their beginning. Because sometimes love doesn't die. It simply waits for both hearts to be ready. Title: She signed the divorce papers, then found out she was pregnant with his child. 6 years later, he found them both. Description: After signing her divorce papers, Olivia discovers she's pregnant. 6 years later, her ex-husband, now a billionaire, discovers a daughter he never knew existed. What follows is a heart-wrenching, hopeful journey of forgiveness, rediscovery, and love reborn. #tags. #love after divorce. #second chances. #single mom story. #billionaire romance. #family drama. #emotional story. #forgiveness. #hidden daughter. #reunion. #redemption. Hashtag romantic fiction. Hashtag heartwarming. Hashtag fate. Hashtag new beginnings. Away, weeping quietly. For loss. For love. For hope reborn.